Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone joining, either if you're watching live or if you're watching it afterwards. So each and every week I answer questions from my Patreon and YouTube channel members. So big thank you to all of their support. Really makes a huge difference. And with that, they've been able to submit questions in advance, but also more importantly as well, you can join in if you're a YouTube channel member with the live stream. You can join in, see a few people already in there already. We've got Baba, Caleb, Baba Trolling, and Miles. So big hello to all of you. So again, we've got lots of different questions, lots of different stuff all over the place today. So yeah, it should be an interesting one. So again, you can also use the super chat function as well to send in support that way and ask questions. So yeah, big thank you to everyone for doing that. So let's start off. I like to start off with the title one for the first question. Mahmoud said, since Disney barely adds any content, not including Hulu or ESPN, to standalone Disney Plus and the low amount of original content, how can Disney justify Disney Plus standalone for people not watching Hulu? And this really is something I have been saying. I have actually been thinking this and saying this quite often for the last couple of years, that US Disney Plus subscribers have been kind of getting a rough end of the deal. Ever since the international launch of Star, it always was very like, oh, you guys are really starting to, with the rest of the world is really, we're getting all of that Hulu or most of that Hulu content. It's suddenly become much more valuable. And if you are in the US, I would not, if I would, to anybody, I'd be like, you have to have at least the duo basic of having Hulu and Disney Plus in order to make it worthwhile having, because the Disney Plus side on its own, it is very, very lackluster. There's not a lot of stuff coming through. With the big slowdown of releases, there is often one or two things a month to watch. Especially for adults, if you enjoy all the library content, that's different. But in terms of new original content, it's like the Marvel and the Star Wars stuff. That is great, and there's been some really good stuff. There's been some all right stuff and some dodgy stuff. But that's all they kind of revolved around, and people very quickly got bored of it. So in the US, I do feel like you have to have a Hulu subscription if you're an adult in order to make Disney Plus worth it. And the way that they've done the bundles and all the rest of it, it's why I have been saying so long about the fact that Disney Plus needs the Hulu bundle or needs to be incorporated, because with the pure sort of slowdown of original content, it is like, I like sometimes I'll get, when I get sent that US list, it's like, especially, I think it was really bad before the launch of the year of the Hulu on Disney Plus launch. So I mean, it launched in like December. There was that year running up to it was like, oh my word, there is just nothing coming out of here at all. And yeah, there's no, if I completely could understand why people in the US are like Disney, are unsubscribing to Disney Plus, because there's just not enough there to keep you entertained. I mean, a lot of the streaming services have been coming back, but when you add in all the Hulu stuff, it does suddenly, to me, that's the Hulu side is the stuff that I watch myself much more. Those are the shows that I'm much more interested in. Yeah, I feel like you need to have the Hulu side in order to get the full benefits now of Disney Plus. I don't necessarily think you need to have an ESPN subscription. I mean, you get freebies, but it depends on how much sports you want. But I think now you've got to have the Hulu side in order to get the benefits of having it. And the price together is a pretty good thing. This is the difference of it being internationally, where we do get all those shows like Paradise and Shogun and The Bear. Those are all incorporated into our Disney Plus subscription. So a standalone one makes sense to us because that's all we've got, and it makes it feel it. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, they don't view the Hulu or the Star side as proper Disney, and they don't think that that's not what they want and that's not what they're after. And why is there so little Disney stuff coming through? And the simple truth is they have cut back on how much they're making. A lot of the stuff they were making wasn't clicking. The Disney Channel was putting out shows which weren't clicking with audiences, and a lot of the generic Disney stuff that was coming through Disney Plus was very, very vanilla, and nobody was paying any attention to it because it was all so bland and boring. And they've stopped all that. Well, the trouble is they stopped it all, but they've not really replaced it with anything. And I think that is definitely an issue. Let's looking at here. Let's see if we've got anything. I'm just related to this one. I won't do the any other ones just till after this one. Kaylee says, to answer the question, I don't think it's worth it since I'm a bundle subscriber since 2021 and now getting the full experience. A standalone Disney Plus subscriptions are getting breadcrumbs. They are getting a lot less. They're hardly getting anything. It is that thing. If they have got to just get this merger sorted and bring the two together, because at the minute they're a halfway house. Just get it done, simplify it. They've done all the work they need to do in the US now with the launch of Hulu on Disney Plus to get people more used to it. Miles says, I'm outside the US since I have Star, which provides Disney Plus general entertainment content. That's the key thing for me as well is, like what I watch on I very rarely watch anything on the Disney side of Disney Plus. The Star side is the stuff that I like to watch. So just this past week, what did we have? We had the finale of Paradise on Tuesday, the fantastic show. We were watching the Kardashians last night. I think what else we were watching. We've kind of been catching up on a few different shows to kind of clear them out of the way this week. I think what else was that? I haven't watched a huge amount this week. It's been a little. I think that was it. Obviously Daredevil, but I'd already seen that last weekend. We were luckily enough, so Daredevil would have been one of them. But yeah, I think those are the main ones. I think at the minute. Billy says, to be fair, if we did not have that Star Hub, I'm not sure I would have kept Disney Plus, even though I'm a huge Disney fan of both their animated and the live actions. I think so. I think this is definitely it. Babak says, without Hulu, I'd only be watching one show a week. With Hulu, I watch several. And this is what they're finding, is that Hulu side keep coming in for more engagement. They keep us watching stuff. I need to catch up on Dr. Odyssey because that returns this week here. You got Grey's coming up pretty soon. There's a few different shows coming in. Definitely agree. Okay, so speaking of season 1 of Paradise, I don't want to give too much away, but it did remind me of Only Murders in the Building. Then again, this showrunner of Paradise, I don't think it reminded me. It was just a fantastic show. Such a great show. Matt says a lot of people want for their kids for a babysitting service. Yeah, I definitely think Disney Plus has that, where a lot of parents want to put it on and just let the kids be able to watch movies and stuff. And I think that's good. But they're not really adding a huge amount to that to keep adding to it. Because I do think there's a big problem at Disney of they can seem to make shows for Disney junior age, the younger kids. I think they're really struggling to find their audience of like 7 plus. I think they're struggling to get shows to click with them because kids are watching stuff so differently than how we used to. They're just interested into so many different things. I mean, I've spent the day with my nephews today, and they tend to watch all like YouTube and stuff. They don't tend to watch. I mean, they like Dog Man. We were talking about that show, and Sonic 3. They do like watching big movies, but yeah, they're not interested in TV shows. That says, what about National Geographic? Well, I think National Geographic it's always been the. If you had the 5, when there's original 5 hubs of Disney Plus, National Geographic was always that one that a lot of people really didn't care about. We've seen National Geographic drastically reduce their output. All their long-running shows were pretty much getting to the point now where they've all been cancelled, and it's just specials and short series. I think they're a great little addition. I think they're a perfect add-on for giving us documentaries and things like that. But it's very, very noticeable that the amount of releases from National Geographic has drastically reduced. But he says, I did not used to watch a lot of television in the past, so therefore I have a lot of options between and new shows. I just started saying, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff in there that you could watch that if you haven't watched, you can catch up on. I'm very much in the mindset of I tend to like just watching new things. I don't tend to go back very often and watch old stuff. Sometimes sitcoms, probably sitcoms like Seinfeld, Friends, Modern Family. Those are the ones I've probably gone back and rewatched. I don't know if I've ever gone back and ever rewatched like a proper drama series. I don't think I ever done that one. Matt says you need Hulu to bring in the adult content to compete with the other streamers. 100% agree on that. Okay. Babak says, did you watch the Deli Boys? If so, what did you think of it? Haven't watched it yet. One of the problems with Deli Boys was the whole series. I think it only just dropped on Thursday, Friday, but we didn't know it was coming out in the UK, or I didn't get screeners for it. And Friday night was Big Little Kana launch event, so I went out to one of my local game stores, and we had a little sealed tournament kind of thing. So I was out most of Friday evening. So that's when I would normally watch stuff. And yesterday we were catching up on like the Traders and a few other shows to kind of clear them out. But as I said, should Disney stop announcing projects before they're in active production or filming instead of making announcements way too early in development? There's definitely a noticeable difference of they are announcing a lot less. They aren't doing the big presentations at like D23 San Diego talking about loads of stuff coming up. They've learned their lessons. The Investors Days and they got stung hard with that, and they've definitely learned their lessons. There's a lot of stuff that sometimes gets out through like the trades, because if they are working on something and there's filming going on, sometimes it's a case of some of the new. There's a difference between sometimes we like know about shows being made, but they aren't actually officially announced. We know they're coming and we know they're working on them, but we don't necessarily officially know. Wonder Man is a prime example of we'd known that one had been filmed a year in advance before Marvel ever informed us that they were actually making it. So they're desperately cutting back on their announcements. If you actually think now ahead, moving forward, a lot of the stuff from the Investors Days and the Disney Plus days from years ago, they are all coming this year. Feels like a lot of that stuff is coming to the end. And now moving into 2026, we don't know what's coming up. After Andor, what's the next? Is there another Star Wars series? I don't know. I think Ahsoka season 2, but that's all we know officially. Marvel, we know that they're making a Vision. Again, they've not officially announced Vision. We know they're doing a second season of Daredevil. I think we do know officially that that's happening. But yeah, we are definitely in the zone of like Marvel. We don't really know what's going on beyond next year. The other shows that we just know a lot less than we did before. So I definitely think we're getting a lot less. Keenan says, if Disney Plus sometimes has deals, why didn't they have deals like that with other movie studios when they're digital? Well, they do. The thing is with digital is, if they're doing it through Amazon and stuff, that's a different department. That's the home video department. And they will do deals for like movies and stuff, but usually it's after they've come out. Kenny says, why are Disney Plus originals released at 3 a.m. Eastern time, whereas the launch of Disney Plus and curated playlists were released at midnight ET? So there's a difference between, like, most of the new releases get done at midnight Los Angeles time, which is obviously 3 o'clock in the morning. So that is the time that they launched them. A lot of there's a number of reasons why a lot of stuff gets added at that time. First off, it makes sense from the point of view. If you say like a show is coming out at that time on Los Angeles time, 95% of the world is on that same day. So it makes it so it's much easier that way. This is the problem like with the primetime releases when they do them at like 6 o'clock at night. Suddenly then when the posters come out, some of the posters say like one date, and then the rest of the world's posters say a different date. So there's that. The biggest reason was data load and crashing. If they release all this stuff at midnight in Los Angeles time, it means then that there's less people logging in to watch it. How many times do we hear about Disney Plus crashing when a new show gets released? Because I mean, they've definitely worked on that a lot anyway to fix a lot of those issues. That's why they do the primetime releases now. But a lot of it is done to reduce the load, so there's less impact because there's less people logging on to watch it. You think if you're doing it at midnight, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning UK time. So Europe is 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning kind of thing, at which point that's not a prime time to release stuff. Again, it's just when the load on the servers are at its lowest. With regards to rollouts of other projects, sometimes they're going to want to get it out while those engineers and stuff are still at work, are still working, so that they will want to get, any major projects and stuff. Sometimes they come a little bit later in the day because, they don't want they don't want to be installing a new feature or launching something at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when all the engineers are asleep. They want to be at least up, and they're all paying them big bucks. They probably don't want to be launching a brand new thing. And also, it's like the launch of the playlists and ESPN and Hulu. They started staggering. So what they do is they start rolling out the upgrades over hours. They seem to have managed to work that out. So not everybody gets everything all at once. Again, it just helps keep the servers running, and so you don't have as many problems. Miles says, what are your thoughts on the recent collapse of the Technicolor Group, the parent company of MPC, the Mill and Micros? So they work on a number of different movies. They've done some of the animation on like Mufasa. Not good. It's not good from the point of view of people losing their jobs and things, but we're very much you are seeing the impacts of a lot of the shows and stuff. They're cutting back on how many they're making. They're also cutting back on how much visual effects they're making because they're trying to keep the costs down. This is cause and effect of multiple layers. It does suck. But someone will fill in the gap. Someone will come in there, but at the same time, you can see that they are trying to, it's the market adjusts to demand. Let's see here. Thank you very much, Derek, for your super chat. Do you know of, have you heard any updates among Comcast or Disney regarding Hulu? Haven't heard anything. I was having a little bit of a sneak around earlier. One of the things I'm looking for, and the little thing that I'm looking, is I go on to CNBC's news, and I find articles revolving around Hulu, because what they'll do is they put a little thing at the bottom that states that they're co-owner of the company. And what I'm looking at really is that when that disappears, and not necessarily on old articles, but if they start doing articles about Hulu or Disney Plus and that disclaimer is not in there, that's going to be probably a good indication that something has been sorted. So I think I found an article from last month that was still had it in there. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get it done by one of the quarterlies. That's when they might announce that they've done it. It might be a little quick thing in a Q&A kind of thing that said that they've done it. I'm not expecting. The only thing is whether or not, if they do an announcement, then there might be followed by the announcement of, and now we're going to merge it kind of thing, because that's what I'm expecting. I am putting a little bit of a pure guess. If I was to put like $1 on this, I think we might see a reshuffling of Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN when Flagship launches. I think Flagship is going to replace ESPN Plus, and I think they're going to do a whole launch around that time when Flagship launches, and that's when we might see like a big shift, so they can readjust all the pricings and stuff. So that's my guess. But yeah, we haven't heard anything yet. But the minute I know, everyone will know. But again, big thank you, Derek, for your super chat. Matt says, when they launched ESPN Flagship, what do you think the hub will look like? I think it's going to be like a really much better version of ESPN Plus. within Disney Plus. I think that's going to work. Knoxwave says, I absolutely love the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. It definitely feels like the Netflix series, but more violent and brutal, and so much better than Echo, in my opinion. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Kelly said it makes sense to drop a new episode, to drop it in the middle of the night due to less traffic on Disney Plus. Last thing they want to do is do an overload of cloud servers and tech being overworked. 100%. That's why they do it. Now, I do think with the fact of them doing primetime releases, obviously shows that they are able to cope with that. I think they've probably as well now with the Marvel and the Star Wars shows, they kind of know the load coming in and so can bear that. Plus, also, there's been less interest. There is just less interest in those Marvel and Star Wars shows than they probably would be. I think it was also hard during the pandemic and stuff. But yeah, I definitely think that's it. Matt says, do you like when they drop a show all at once or one episode a week? I quite like this system they're using at the minute, which is drop like 3 episodes at the beginning to let you get your teeth into it, and then doing episode week to week. Paradise is a prime example of a show where it was great having everybody kind of like being like we're all being held so that we couldn't get ahead. It's really kind of weird, really, in some ways. It's like Daredevil right now, and this is the prime. So I have seen all of Daredevil Born Again, and you guys haven't. And so therefore I have to be careful with what I say. And that's the thing of when you're on a weekly release schedule, you don't have to worry about that. You can just, and I think there are advantages to it. There are disadvantages to it. I know there's been a few shows I've been watching with my wife, and she's definitely got used to having binge shows on Netflix, and she was not been so keen on the fact that we were watching multiple shows with weekly episodes, and there was like, oh great, we're gonna wait another week. I think people's patience, they've been accustomed to it. I think it's better. Mara says, I'm looking forward to Jon Favreau's new live action animated show. What are your thoughts? I'm looking forward to it. I just could be fun. This will be tomorrow's news video anyway. I didn't get around to doing it yesterday. So I might keep it a bit back for the, but yeah, I think this will be good. I think this is exactly what Disney Plus needs. I think we need a mainstream Disney show to get families in. That's my guess on that one. So Suna says, is the Disney Plus standalone app not worth subscribing anymore? The question is, so Suna, do you think it's not worth subscribing anymore? Just as, if you think of just pure Disney Plus alone in the United States right now, do you think there's enough there to warrant the price that there's price? If you don't have the bundle or you don't have the duo or anything like that, do you think you're getting enough value there? And that's the key thing. It's why people are leaving. But then you look at the offer that they're putting out right now, where you can get Disney Plus and Hulu with ads for $2.99 a month for 4 months. That's where your value is. Matt says, personally, I think Disney Plus on its own in the US is getting less value every day, with Disney cutting costs on their originals and favoring theatrical products. You really need the Hulu content. Yeah, and I think we're starting to see now that the Hulu side is, they have worked out that the Hulu side is what they need for the TV. The TV side is Hulu. The Disney Plus element is, they want the app. They know that that's the favorite of the app. They want the Marvel and the Star Wars and the Disney stuff in there, but it's the Hulu content that keeps people coming back in day as adults, and Disney Plus has the stuff for the kids. Together, they can be, one complete one. Babak says, do you think they'll add a combined Hulu Live Fubo service inside Disney Plus? No, I don't think so. I think Hulu Live TV will merge into Fubo, and it will be its own private little app. And you probably will get access to Disney Plus, because it will probably be like, maybe it'll be the same Disney ID. I don't think they'll add it inside of Disney Plus because it's a lot of tape, a lot of things. And also, there's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of subscribers. You think of how many subscribers have these live TV services. They're getting smaller and smaller year on year. It is a collapsing market. Knoxway said, I've heard that the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit TV show was in for Disney Plus, either a movie or series. I remember it was cancelled when Chapek was in charge. Well, I had someone I had a comment on YouTube pop up and goes on like an old video going, oh, this didn't age well. It's like a 5-year-old video that I did. Like news changes is like the show that was made or was in development 5 years ago is a completely different show to what's coming out now. This is going to be very different. And it was, the thing is, I think the Oswald show was an animated series, and adults don't watch animated shows in general that much. I mean, they'll watch like adult entertainment, but if a show's aimed at families or kids, adults won't watch it. Babek says, my guess with Fubo will be a soft bundle with Disney Plus and ESPN, since they will eventually want to get Hulu Live TV. I think the fact that the Hulu Live TV bundle business is being incorporated with Fubo tells you everything. They're all there going, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. It's like, of course they're going to do it. They ain't going to run two systems simultaneously. And here's the best bit. Move the Hulu Live TV into Fubo. They can shut down the Hulu app. Save a lot of money. Matt says, I'm interested in Andor Season 2 release method, where they are dropping 3 episodes per week rather than stretching it out. I think they are. There's a couple of I think Andor will work better with this, with the 3 episodes. I think running it out over 12 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever was going to be a stretch. It does feel a little bit like dumping it and running it. I think they know that the audience will engage with it. But also they've got Ironheart then ready to roll then for June. So it's not like they've not got a show ready for it. So that's so it is an interesting choice. Kelly says, speaking of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, the canine character can be the antagonist, considering that dogs go insane when they see rabbits in real life. Maybe. I'm not going to lie. I think I've only seen a couple of Oswald comics or cartoons. I don't really know the character that well at all, which is kind of why they're doing it. And I think also that gives them a chance to do something completely different because people don't know about it. Miles is continuing on from last week's Q&A. Do you think that Amazon's MGM New International will give the studio total control of their global releases rather than relying on a studio like Warner Brothers? Yeah, I think the amount of money they're throwing around, they don't need Warner Brothers. I think that's the key thing. Matt says, do you think, as of Daredevil Born Again, Marvel is looking to do more shows similar to the type of Marvel television used to do for ABC, more grounded, lower budget, longer run times, more episodes? Yes. They're going back. They've realized that they actually knew what they were doing. I do think, Marvel television wasn't 100%, there was a lot of dodgy shows that came out of them. And a lot of it was because of Marvel Studios blocking them from doing stuff. I think they've realized TV is different to movies, and they can't afford to make a 6-hour movie and just cut it into 6 parts. I think they've realized that doesn't work. And more importantly, Disney can't afford to keep spending $200-300+ million on a TV series. And that's where the problem comes in, I think. Knoxwell says, in the Middle East app, we don't have win or lose. I believe they'll wait till it's complete and then they can release it. Same thing they did with What If Season 2 or X-Men weren't available at the time. All right. That could be it. It depends also. I don't know if there's any storylines that they might want to block out, or if they're just doing a little bit of editing over the storylines. I haven't watched Win or Lose. Do you know what? It's one of those really weird shows where I have had zero interest in watching it. The story, I just don't care about baseball, and I just like nothing. Win or lose, and I just Win or Lose is just, I should watch it, and I just haven't got round to it, and I get round to it at some point, but I don't know. It's I did put it on one night for me and my wife, and she just turned to me and said, "What's this?" I said, "It's a Pixar series," and she said, "I'll turn this off." We didn't. That's all right. If I said it was a new Pixar movie, she would watch it. But yeah, she said, "What's it about?" I said, "Baseball," and then she goes, "I'll turn this off." So that wasn't a good thing. Bobatronic says, "Do you think that Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't had Max and hasn't taken the tax write-off? Warner Brothers would have been in a better place." No, I think they had to do it because they owed so much money. There was so much money that they needed to do, and they've written stuff off. Warner Brothers is having to sort itself out after the merger and with Discovery. It's a bit like Disney with Fox, really. They kind of took out so much money, and then the pandemic, that they've needed to kind of reclaw what they were doing. Mara says the new unit will help Amazon MGM release films independently. Well, I do know as well, I was reading that Amazon are really, they really want to do theatrical releases for their movies. They seem to have, they've sliding back to looking at like what the other studios are doing and going, well, we can do that and make money. And like, they seem to have the Netflix model to them actually for movies. They've started to go, maybe everybody else is right and Netflix isn't. And I think Amazon have realized that they want to do more theatrical releases because they realize it's more profitable and it makes the movies better. Matt says, my other theory is they want Andor season 2 to be eligible for the Emmys this year because they know it'll be a critical darling. To be honest, I wouldn't really put any thought into a TV series for like Emmys and stuff because it would be eligible the year after if it wasn't anyway. But I think it doesn't really matter, Emmys in the long run, if the ratings. Dropping 3 episodes at once, what that will do is that is drastically going to improve the Nielsen ratings and the viewership numbers, because the minutes being watched per week is going to be drastically improved. This is the one thing that gets me with like streaming numbers and the Nielsen numbers and stuff like that is Netflix always looks like it's killing it. Netflix always looks like they have got the best originals and the most watched originals, because every time you look at that chart, it is always nearly 90% Netflix. And it's because Netflix does all these binge drops, so therefore they can get their minutes up much quicker than when like Disney's releasing one episode. Especially if like a 20-30 minute episode, it can't get the minutes up to get up there. So by doing 3 episode drops, what they're going to be able to do is for those 4 weeks, they need Star Wars to be seen as a success. And therefore, if they can push that up there, Andor is going to be in the top end of that thing because you're going to have a lot more minutes clicking up there. Mara says, will you be watching the making of documentary Win or Lose on Wednesday? Nope. I might watch it. I might watch it when I finish watching the show. Meet the Pickles. Yes, Win or Lose is not about baseball. It's about human insecurities. See, even that, it's like I don't know. There's just something about this series which just doesn't connect. It just doesn't. I've watched the trailer and stuff, and it just does not. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on what it is with Win or Lose that just does not get me want to watch it. Matt says, do you need to do more Star Wars animation TV show? Or do you think they're going to do more TV? I mean, I think animation TV series is a great way of extending the Star Wars lore. I think like the Clone Wars, Rebels have all done really well. I think Bad Batch. I think Disney probably should go back to having a TV series that they can expand some of these Filoni characters a little bit and extend out the franchise a bit. Go after, but I think we only need one, only ever having one at a time. I don't know. I personally think that what Star Wars needs to do is they need to start putting out one movie every 2 or 3 years and really actually give the franchise some rest. Give it a little bit of, we get Andor out the way, because that's the other thing. They're throwing it out there quickly. And then when Andor's been done, by the time Mandalorian Grogu comes out next year, it would have been a year until the next adventure. And I think if they need to make it feel special again, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do an animated series because it gets to a different audience and different connected way. But I think we need Star Wars really needs a break. Mara says, I'm really enjoying Win or Lose with its realistic themes, such as day-to-day lives of the characters, storytelling, animation, humor, and music. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Kelly said, speaking of Netflix, I remember Michael Coe mentioned in an interview that Netflix gave them strict guidelines for Raw. I think there was always this weird idea that Netflix was just going to let them do whatever they wanted. Ultimately, they don't want to do that because advertisers want to be able to have a bigger audience. They don't want lots of blood and cursing and all the rest of it. They want it to be PG to get more advertising. It's the same thing. I could very much, be in that same line of, if I was cursing and swearing in all of my videos, it would bring in less money. Less advertisers would want to advertise on it. In fact, with YouTube, if you swear within like the first 30 seconds or something like that, basically your video becomes demonetized. So that's a big problem in general. Miles says, what trailers could Disney drop during CinemaCon, which takes place in Las Vegas in a few weeks' time? I think they're going to preview Thunderbolts to the audience. In terms of trailers, the thing is as well, CinemaCon is not for us. And I think people need to... CinemaCon is for cinema chain owners. It's their event. It's about getting people to go to... They're all having discussions about how to get people to the cinema. And it's for the cinema. It's basically an industry thing for them. It's not really aimed at us. And I think sometimes we're trying to turn it into like a San Diego Comic-Con, and like, they're like, no, this is not for us. So in terms of trailers, I don't know. I mean, we've already had a Fantastic Four one. I mean, I personally wouldn't drop another Fantastic Four trailer until the weekend that Thunderbolts comes out in front of the movie. Lilo and Stitch, I mean, that could be a good one. That could be a good one to drop them, because we've not really seen that one. That's coming out in May. What else is coming out this summer that they could do? Yeah, I think Lilo and Stitch would be the big one. Elio could get a new trailer. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Deliver Me From Nowhere, fantastic. I don't think Fantastic Four. Deliver Me From Nowhere. We don't know anything about that one, so we could get a teaser trailer for that one. But yeah, that sounds good. And basically, CinemaCon is for those that like Martin Scorsese. I wouldn't say necessarily that. CinemaCon is for cinema owners, for the people that run the cinemas, all the little chains, all the different things. It's about people that make money from cinemas, selling the cups, selling the popcorn, all this kind of thing. It's not necessarily for cinema goers, and I think that's something to be aware of. Matt C said, it's funny how Lilo and Stitch comes out in 2 months, and we haven't seen any footage at all, just T-Liz with Stitch model. I still think this is this kind of weird thing of, why do we need to see it? There's no point. I get this thing of having trailers and teasers so early. I don't think it helps. The movie doesn't come out until May. What difference does that make in March? It's the kids and the families aren't going to make that decision until the week it comes out, or the week I would be probably looking at maybe Snow White would be a good time to chuck a teaser trailer in front of Snow White, because you've got families going to it. But I don't really get with movies of why they keep pushing too far forward in trying to get people to look. I don't get it. I don't quite. If you can't book your ticket, what's the point? You're not making any money on it. At CinemaCon, could Amazon showcase films? They probably could do. The only one in Tigray, I enjoy it. I can't rate everything. Some is very American, but some of the show is universally relatable, like that love story from the last episode. Yeah. Looks like that would be good. Right, let's keep going on some of these pre-done questions. I realize I'm a bit far behind. Bubba Trolling says, do you believe that will become commonplace for streaming service to be offered to cable and internet cable services such as YouTube TV without incurring any additional charges? I think they're going to bundle more of them together. You're going to pay for it. Whether you like it or not, you're going to pay for it. The bundles is just trying to make it look like more of a offer, but you're paying for it one way or the other. You aren't getting it for free. Elliot says, do you think there will be a joint CEO position when Iger drops down? Do you think Iger will stay with Disney in some way, or will he move to a different company? I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think he's done that. I could see Iger staying on as chairman or get moved into like a higher tier role, or I don't think he's gonna just drop and go like he did last time. I think he's gonna stick around a little bit, and I still think there's gonna be dual CEOs. I think they're gonna do things very, very softly, gently. Elliot also says, do you think that Disney and Comcast could come to an agreement regarding Hulu? Could we hear about it at the upcoming call? Do you think we'll get an announcement, or will they just drop it? I don't think there's going to be a press release or anything like that. I think they've already done that. I think it's more about they might mention that they finalized the deal, and it'll get dropped somewhere depending on how much money is involved. But I'm not expecting big announcements from that at all. Let's see here. Kaylee says, reportedly, Disney has a presence at SXSW to expand their franchises. What are you hopeful for the future theme park rides? Well, with the power of hindsight, I know that they had Robbie Downey Jr. there. They showed off a little bit of some concept art of the new Monsters Inc. ride that looks kind of fun. Some of the cars for the Cars new ride at Magic Kingdom. They showed off some little robots that they've been walking around the park. So that's going to be in the new Mando movie. So that's good. And some new little rides from Marvel. So it all looks good. It's a lot of nothing. Also, Disney I think with Disney parks, they actually just stopped spending money. I think between the pandemic and Epic Universe and everything, I think everything is just, they all got put everything on pause. Tim says, when is Mufasa, The Lion King coming to Disney Plus? I thought it'd be released in March and Moana 2 in April. Well, I thought it was going to be the other way around because Moana 2 released before Mufasa. Apparently, it's coming at the end of the month. So I would imagine the last week of March. I thought they might have held on to it for Easter. Kelly said, according to Variety, syndication of streaming originals is coming the new norm. What shows could you see Disney loaning out as non-exclusives? Basically, anything that's from 20th Television is much more likely to get syndicated out. And also, they are putting more of their shows on ABC and Freeform anyway. So I think we're going to see more of that. And it makes sense to do that. And as regards to leasing out to Netflix or Max or anything like that, I think it's only going to be 20th Television. We're not going to see Marvel or Star Wars or Pixar or Disney. I think they know that 20th Television they can do something different with. Because let's say, for example, I don't know, Paradise or Only Murders in the Building, especially shows that are maybe complete or finished, they can put them onto Netflix and get some money. I think that's going to become less and less once they start getting more profitable. I think they will realize that they don't want to do that. But I think putting them out on television makes sense. It's like Paradise. I don't know, why they should have probably maybe put Paradise out on ABC on the night that this episode came out, or they should do a run with Paradise over the summer or something. Babak says, given that Disney is bringing more of Tiana to the parks, do you think there would be some sort of content for Disney Plus for Tiana? Well, yeah, they've said that there's a special coming. It wasn't obviously an animated series. My guess would be that one of the episodes is maybe almost complete enough to do something with, or there was enough of the animation to continue to work on. I don't know. Tiana's a bit weird. I don't know if they looked. Moana 2 was obviously a big hit, but maybe the storyline for Tiana wasn't strong enough. It wasn't good enough, and that's why they pulled the plug. Kelly says, what lessons could Disney take away after the Hulu simulcast debacle of the Oscars? Maybe just have somebody there that turns the button off. That might be a good idea. Or schedule it that the live stream ends 2 hours after the event was supposed to end. I can't believe they didn't just have somebody sitting there. You got one of these big, you spent $100 million on this show per year, and you got all that advertising money, not to have somebody sat there ready to click the button to turn it off or to monitor it. I don't quite get how that doesn't happen. There should have been someone there that would have turned it off rather than it being automatic. And with a live event, give yourself an hour, an extended time afterwards. To me, it feels a little bit like cost cutting. It got a little bit. It's almost like oh, we've set up a scheduled thing to go up, but like if you're talking about a show worth millions and millions of dollars, you can afford to pay someone for the night to sit there to turn it off. Like, sometimes, it's worth having somebody on hand just to, press the button rather than setting it just to a schedule. Nevertheless. Elliot says, why was Bunked put on Hulu when it's on a Disney channel? When I went on Disney Plus, I saw that Bunked had a Disney XD label. It looks like it's some kind of licensing deal with Disney XD or something. A bit weird, I know. There must be some legal issue for it. Miles says, with Flow recently winning the Oscar for Best Animated Film, could this increase competition for Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks? Yeah. More competition is good for Disney. That's better for us. Better shows, better movies. More competition is good. Pushing the boundaries. I would also say, and again, I have said this many times in the last few weeks, the Oscars, the vast majority of people don't care. You can see it the night after the night after the Oscars, like our TV over here, like the breakfast TV here, all they were caring about was what dress they had on and who looked the best. No one cares about the movies that win. Hardly how many people are actually going to watch those movies because they won an Oscar? Probably doesn't really make a lot of difference. Yeah, they like the buzz and they like it all, but in the grand scheme of things, most Oscar movies don't make a lot of money. I think, especially when we're in our little film bubble, everyone, I think when you leave that film bubble, it's meaningless. Bubbick says, what are your thoughts on SC Plus? Should Disney do something with ABC News? I did try to watch SC Plus. It wouldn't work. Personally, I think SC Plus is a complete waste of time. I think it's a waste of effort and resources. I think trying to make a TV series aimed at casuals about a thing that it's not going to appeal to the core audience and trying to appeal sports to a general audience is going to be tough. They should have just made Sports Center available on Disney Plus. That would have fixed the problem of giving audience and maybe made some tweaks to the Sports Center to be a little bit more friendly or whatever it is. But I don't really think it. And as far as ABC News, just give if you're going to have a news show, a half hour, 15-minute news shows, it can work, but the problem is often especially American ones, they get a little bit too caught up in one or two stories, and then they don't really. I think it's like with news, just do a normal news show. I think a 15-minute one, just put up the normal, just give the news the normal way. I don't think spending money trying to reformat something that they're already making. There's that kind of, it's like, yeah, if you're doing World Tonight and ABC News and all the rest of it, just put that there. It's like, oh, you want the quick version of it, or I don't know, it's like, yeah, you could do, but I don't know, it just seems a lot of expense. Babak says, what do you think about Jon Favreau doing an Oswald series? Really good. Looking forward to it. I'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Thank you very much for Babak Trolling for being a member for 44 months. Thank you so much. What is your favorite hub on Disney Plus? Mine is ESPN. Mine would be Star. Mara says, I agree with the themes are very relatable. Note that our equivalent of baseball or softball is rounders, which is a sport that's part of the Gaelic Games Association. I hated rounders as a kid. I absolutely hated that game. Maybe that's one of the reasons why win or lose is just even more doesn't appeal to me. I hated that one. Matt says, do you think the main reason Disney didn't try to do a Moana 2 by turning Tiana into a theatrical film is due to the lack of faith releasing 2D theatrical releases. I don't think it's actually necessarily about releasing 2D shows. I do wonder if they actually, we don't know what the story was, if it was strong enough, maybe there was creative issues, maybe it just wasn't working on that level and it just wasn't good enough. And that's what, I think sometimes we kind of, people thinking like it's the best thing in there. They might just not have been good enough and they weren't happy with it and they pulled the plug. I just wonder if they felt that a Tiana series wasn't enough to get mainstream audience, and turning it into a movie, it wasn't going to have the same appeal. I mean, what's a Tiana 2 about her running a restaurant or going on a big adventure? I'm not sure if there's a big enough interest in that story. Now, luckily, like last year, we were on a Disney cruise and there was a Tiana themed restaurant. Loved it. The music was great. But is there enough for Tiana to be well enough for us to have a sequel? Bobatronic says, do you think Disney will make 3-part Star Wars or Marvel series? No, I don't think so. I think they'll keep going a little bit. I don't think they'll get the 3-part. If you're going to do a 3-part series, you might as well just do a movie. Knoxville says, I knew the Tiana series isn't moving forward since we haven't heard about an update in a while. I just wish they'd rework into a movie, but it would cost a lot more money. The thing is, as well, is again, with this show, is we don't know what the story was or the format of that series. Say each episode was a standalone story of like 20 minutes. Maybe that didn't make sense merging together. It just didn't make like with Moana 2, you can feel like there's an adventure that she went on and different elements of it were like who she was going to meet for that episode a little bit. But with Tiana, we might not have had that. They could have been just like 6 random episodes of stories that weren't interconnected. So you couldn't turn them into a movie. And again, it's costing money. They've already put a load of money into it. But if they're looking at it going, this movie, this isn't going to make enough money to make it worthwhile doing it. The only one, Tinkerbell says, I'm going to watch Flow, but I would have watched it if it hadn't have won because it looks so beautiful. Yeah, that's the big thing. Miles says, do you agree with Sean Baker's long live independent film quote at this year's Oscars? No idea. What did he say? I haven't watched the Oscars. I couldn't be bothered with it, to be fair. I just watched the highlights on YouTube of the funny bits. I don't watch all the... I just again, I say this, I just find the Oscars and award ceremonies to just be just fluff that just isn't really, yeah. So I've got no idea what he said. So Sonia says, what will be the future of Disney standalone app if there are more content in the bundle? The simple thing is I think we're going to end up with Disney Plus with an ESPN bundle, flagship add-on. That is the new Disney Plus. That to me is, I think we're just going to see Hulu will get absorbed into Disney Plus. According to THR, they did say that they're considering doing a Tiana film, but it might be separate from the Scrap TV series. No, they're doing a Tiana special. No, it's not a film. And I'm guessing that was maybe one of the episodes that they had done enough of that they can kind of turn it. But they didn't say in the article that it was a film, but it was a special. Mara says, what changes would you make to award ceremonies like the Oscars? Make them shorter, make them snappier, make them entertaining to watch. Here's another one. Nominate films people have seen. That's because, I mean, there's a kind of thing of, I mean, what was the best picture nominees this year? Right. Amelia Perez, haven't seen. A Complete Unknown. I watched it last week and didn't think it was that great, to be honest. I thought it was really slow. And I haven't seen a single one of the other movies on the list. I do want to see Wicked. I will say that one. June 2. I didn't really think much of June. I thought that was boring, so I didn't bother watching June 2. The Substance looks okay. Concave would be one that I would probably watch when it pops up on Netflix. I don't know. I just don't like. like, even if I look back at the winners of Best Pictures over the years, and I've said this so many times. So, like, when I look at like the Best Picture nominees or best, so these are the winners, right? Nomadland, that was crap. Parasite, didn't bother watching it. Green Book, didn't bother with that one. The Shape of Water, it was okay. I don't think it was anything amazing. I haven't seen Moon Knight, Spotlight, Birdman. I turned it off. I was bored. King's Speech, that was these movies just don't, they're like Gladiator was one, I enjoyed that one. Lord of the Rings. I just feel like the biggest problem for because when you go back a little bit further, suddenly then you're getting into movies that are much more well known. I think that there's a little bit of snobbery with, I think, the Oscars, where they're only really honoring the movies they want to make rather than the movies that the mainstream audience watch. I think they've got to get, if they want to get people interested. I mean, it's like, okay, maybe it's not the best movies, but the definition of best movie, I don't know, it's a very weird thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most popular film, or let's be like, Deadpool and Wolverine is not the best movie of 2024. It was fun, but I definitely wouldn't say they were the best, best actors and stuff. I could get that, but there is the kind of, I think we need some more mainstream into it rather than just a load of movies that no one's ever heard of. What's your least favorite Best Picture that you've ever watched? What's the Best Picture winners over time? Let's just have a look, see which ones that I'm the thing is, I'm probably, is that thing of, I'm not very good at watching some of these like independent movies that I think sometimes are just, they're not as good as I think. They just don't interest me as much. And you can, and I would say also of like, there's a reason why most of these movies haven't made any money at the box office, because nobody else has gone to see them either. So like last year, which one won? So the Oppenheimer won. So I haven't seen it, but I do want to watch it. But at least with Oppenheimer, I can think like, oh, that was a big blockbuster movie that people wanted to see. That makes sense. Barbie made sense. There's a few movies there, but like Poor Things was awful. Killers of the Flower Moon last year wasn't that? I didn't think much of that one. Everything Everywhere All at Once. That wasn't. It was okay, but I don't think it was amazing. I'm trying to see here what movies. Like I said, turned off Birdman. I got bored of that. The Artist, God, I do remember turning that off because that was bad. The Departed, I remember buying that on Blu-ray and being disappointed after. I think it's just, for me, it's just like the Oscar movies do not appeal to me, and I think that's the biggest thing. Matt says, I do find it interesting that Disney and Pixar have been losing their hold on the best animated feature. The last time they won was for Encanto in 2020. So we're talking, what, 2 years? I mean, I do think there's a little bit of, like, if that was like 2012, I would say like, yes, that would be. But I think if we're only talking sometimes of like 1 or 2 years, that's not really enough time for it to be a problem. And at the end of the day, I'm sure they'd much rather make Inside Out 2 and make $1.5 billion at the box office and a load of money on merchandise than an Oscar. That's kind of I just think yeah, I just think like with that, of like they have. And there is also another thing. The thing is as well with the Academy is things can be swayed, and you'll get people in there that will vote for the thing that's not, that's the cool thing, because that's what they wanted to go with. It's not being voted for by people that, There's a lot of movies I think that was voted for. There was a lot of people that abstained from voting on things because they hadn't seen it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Inside Out 2 was the best movie. I don't think it was the strongest movie, but yeah, I think sometimes, sometimes they're just going to put out movies that are not going to connect. It's like this year, Elio could be eligible because it's something new and something different, and it could have an interesting story. I don't think Zootopia 2 is going to be an Oscar nominated or Oscar. I don't think Zootopia 2 will win an Oscar unless it's amazing. But generally, sequels are much harder for them to do. But again, I don't think. Yeah, they probably would like it, and it's a nice little buzz. But at the end of the day, money and viewership and success and all the rest of it is viewed in lots of different ways. And just having one Oscar, it doesn't. And they could make a movie that they could make Oscar. There's so many movies that are Oscar bait where they make bugger all money because no one wants to see it, but it will please the Oscar people. But yeah, as I said, I'm not the biggest Oscars fan. The one I think about, the Oscars are selected by people who make films. They have other priorities, but I think the Oscar winners, they are worth watching. I don't like violence, and I'm glad there are these movies. I think, yeah, I mean, I like a good story, and all. You don't have to have violence and stuff, but I think it would just be a little bit better if they represented a little bit more of what the general audience watched, because I think that's the other problem as well. Is it's hard when, like, they, you're going out, they go, we've got 5 movies that are up for Best Picture or Best Actor, and nobody's seen it. I know they want to try and get, they use the Oscars to try and get you to go see the movies. And they go, oh, I'll watch that because that won an Oscar. Which, it's a good marketing campaign. It makes sense for them to do it. But there should be a little bit of, when they're going into Oscar season, of there being at least 2 or 3 favorites that people know they can get behind. It's like Matt says here, when you look at the last 3 winners for the animated film, the more artistic film won rather than the mainstream. The ones that took their kids, like, how many families saw Flow? I thought, yeah, I was surprised. I think The Wild Robot, I haven't seen that one yet, but I've been hearing lots of great things about that one. So yeah, as you said, it's what they want to make and what they want to see rather than what the audience is. Kayla, who's been a member for 45 months, thank you so much for that continued support. When is the next investors call? So what? When was the last one? Let's just have a look. And then, like I said, box office doesn't necessarily automatically mean that it's the best. You can have really bad movies do really good at the box office, and they aren't the best movies. So we only had one, at the beginning of February. So March, April. So beginning of May will probably be the next quarterly one, but I believe the beginning of April we will get the new, like, the end of the year one. Miles says, what do you think of Conan O'Brien Oscars? What I saw of it, it seemed all right. Barbatronic says 3 years ago Disney was considering selling ABC, Hulu, and spin-off ESPN. What would have happened to Disney Plus? Disney done it. I think this was a really kind of blown out. I know it does sound like Iger got into a lot of trouble, a lot of hot noise as well. And I think Chapek, they were just floating around ideas. I think, I don't know if Hulu was ever being considered to be spun off. I don't think that was ever something. I think with ESPN, they were just trying to work out what to do. And I think ABC, again, they've been floating ideas of what to do with it because the assets are declining. Raphael says, I miss Disney series. Many projects have been cancelled. Yeah, they have got rid of a lot of them. Miles says, what did you score Poor Things? 0 out of 10 because I stopped watching it. And if I didn't bother watching it, I didn't give it a review. What are your thoughts on 2 people running the academy? I'm not impressed with what they do, but I'm just not that impressed with the Oscars. Flow wasn't advertised as much. I think if they'd done better advertisement, families would have watched it too, but it's a small film with a low budget and no advertising budget. I think that's the thing is, you don't. And again, animation doesn't have to be for kids, and there is that side of things. I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one. I think the animated movies, again, you're seeing like the big boys in there, the big blockbuster ones, and they've generally always done the best. But if the Academy is being swayed more for artistic films than big blockbusters, Disney might not be able to win until the mood changes. They might never be able to win again if the mood completely, if the Academy fixates on giving it to, making sure only like independent, non-big corporations win. Disney might not win it, and at the end of the day, that's not really anything Disney can do about that. Let's see what else we've got. Keenan says, so Moana 2 is going to be released on Disney Plus before it goes to physical media. Does this hurt the physical media sales? Yes, but Disney Plus is now the new home video. Disney Plus is the DVD. That is what it is. The DVD sales are so low that they're no longer important. That's the physical media sales are so small now. They're like a tenth, less than a tenth of what they used to be. Babak says, could Win or Lose also air on the Disney Channel? I would like to see. I think they should do. Any updates on the reboot of season 3 of the Proud Family? I haven't heard anything. I would have normally they tend to drop in February for Black History Month, but they didn't do that this month. Saying that, maybe with all the situation going on in the US now at the political side of things, maybe they've just wanted to hold off on that and kind of settle down a little. Tim also asked about any season 4 updates on Welcome to Wrexham. Haven't heard anything. I think last year we got it in the spring, so it would make sense it's coming up soon. I know I would imagine so. I would make sense. Mamo says, I know Bob Iger helped make Disney Plus, but do you think he has damaged Disney Plus in terms of content, library content, reputation, and price increases? Yes, in general. I think the trouble is, I think the problem was they set Disney Plus up for some failure with the really low price point, with the idea of they were going to jack the price up later. They priced it really low, and I think they haven't done themselves favors with the price way they do it. I think they should just do a Netflix approach and just do it and get it over with, rather than tell people in advance. I think the slowdown in content, I don't think we ever would have expected, and I don't think they would have expected to have had to have done that the way they did. I've seen some report, some things that some analysts like Rich from Lightshare Partners, talking about how all the studios should be making more and more content to chase Netflix and make bigger and better content. And it's like, they did that and it didn't work. Netflix is running away with subscriber numbers and viewership numbers, but ultimately they were running at a loss for like 10 years before they got their streaming services profitable. Disney Plus has had to do it in half the time. So it's a bit like Netflix had a runway, and I don't know. But I think library content as well, there's a kind of a thing with, there is a reason why Disney is not adding all those library stuff that a lot of Disney fans ask for a lot on social media. But again, I think it's very much like we are the small minority of people that want all these like movies and shows that most people don't know of. I'm sure if we wrote a list of the top 500 things that we want to see added to Disney Plus from the library, I'm sure if we went to a supermarket and asked 100 people to tick the ones that they know about, you're probably going to only have a handful of shows that people will remember. And I think they've done some. I'd be interested to see like how many people watched the Muppet Show when it got added. There must be a reason why they aren't putting all that library content on there, rather than costs and stuff that are involved in, recreating it, library content, restoring it, licensing it, etc. There is a reason that this stuff is not being put on there after 5 years, and there has to be a business reason for it. Basil says, do you think Disney should have cancelled Tiana sooner, or of keeping everyone excited for it? I mean, I think there is a kind of thing if they shouldn't have announced it when they did, and that would have been better. I don't think they should have announced it till they were a bit sooner. It did feel like every time they were at like a D23 event and go, they'd put the logo up and go, "We're still making it." And next, please. I think they made a mistake in announcing it too early. Matt says, "Do you think Jessica Jones, Punisher, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Disney Plus series?" Not quite. Do you think they're going to return? Well, we know Punisher's back. Jessica Jones, she's filming Dexter in New York. Just happens to be just where they're filming Daredevil. So I think she's going to do a cameo. Man Married says, "What would you tell people who do not like Disney television animated content that they were disappointed to see series produced by Pixar and Disney Animation not going forward?" I think there was a lot of buzz around the fact that Disney weren't making TV shows for Disney Plus. And a lot of it seemed to be misunderstanding that it was Walt Disney Animation Studios that aren't making TV series for Disney Plus anymore. And the simple truth is they've only made 2 or 3 series for Disney Plus and generally have always been about theatrical films. So therefore, them not making TV series was not a huge step change in what they've been doing over the last 30, 40 years. I don't think people really understand, and why would they? Because most people don't see that. They just see the Disney logo. Disney Television Animation are the ones that make all the TV shows that we see on Disney Channel. You know, even down to like the Pixar. Everyone thought Pixar made the Monsters at Work show. They didn't. It was Disney Television Animation. They're still making TV shows. It's just that a lot of this is business and, you know, the real life. And unfortunately, social media doesn't tend to favor facts. It's just reactions and misinformation. And is just a case of that this is a situation where people don't really understand. None of it was really explained on a lot of the social media posts what was going on, because all they're trying to do is engage you to get you raged up to comment so they make more money. And that is the problem with a lot of this stuff now. Is in reality, that would have, if that was 10, 15 years ago, none of us would have even known about it. It probably would have been in a trade, and the people that were reading the trade would have understood what was going on. Nowadays, it all got blown out of proportion, and yeah, that's kind of a whole thing. Babak says, "Could Disney merge Freeform and Hulu and turn the Freeform channel into a Hulu rerun channel?" I don't think they'd merge it because there's not really any benefit to merging it. I don't think they'll rename it because that will add value to it. But I do think Freeform is just going to show more Hulu stuff. Bubba Charlie says, "Do you think ESPN flagship will be an add-on to Hulu Live?" No. I mean, I could see. I don't know. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see some separation here. Whereas the Hulu Live TV gets bundled in with Fubo, which will include the ESPN flagship content anyway. But yeah. Okay, let's just do the last of the pre-done questions before we finish for the day, because we're a little bit later. Mao says, "When the Paramount Skydance merger is complete, who could be promoted to new roles?" Not sure. I don't. The thing is, as well, is a lot of the stuff of executives and stuff. The best ones are probably ones we don't know about. And I think it might have a little bit more difficulty to get this through. It does sound like the political situation is maybe not as good for these mergers as we thought. Matt says, "Yeah, it does seem like there's been a shift at the Academy regarding how they view animated films, where it's now more in line with how they view Best Picture." I think that could be it. You're right that animated films aren't just for kids, hence why I'm hoping to one day see Mickey and Friends animated film that's PG. I don't think we will see that, and I don't think we'll see a Mickey movie on the cinema. I think with the copyrights and everything like that, I don't think they're going to do that. 2019, we're going to make all of this content, release it on all our library content. Yeah. And then 2025, we're going to cut it down, and when nobody's watching our library content, to add more. And I think that is it. You got it spot on. The thing is as well is, and it does be one of those things of this whole idea that they were going to add all of their library content. I think it got taken because I've never actually been able to find this quote. the advertising didn't say, they might say, and all of your favorites, but you'll find all the Disney favorites on Disney Plus. That's actually a very vague. It's not a case of they never have ever said Disney Plus, where we are going to release every single thing we've ever made in the last 100 years will be available. They never said that. They might have alluded to it, or people misread that was what they were saying, but they never actually ever said we're going to add every single film and every single show we have ever made on there. They never said it. They alluded, and that's the kind of a thing. And as Kayla says, they did not expect a global pandemic to shake up everything for better. That was a huge, colossal shift. It meant that the streaming got a huge boost well at the gate when everyone was at home. It also caused financial situations of they had just paid for Fox and their theme park division was shut down and everything was shut. And it has taken years for it to, and we're still dealing with the repercussions. Right now, we're really seeing a lot of it in the video game industry. Over the last 6 months or so, there's a load of studios that have closed, loads of layoffs. We're really seeing a massive decline in video games because what had happened was the time during the pandemic when everyone was at home, video games got a huge boost. And the trouble is what happened is the Wall Street and the analysts and all the investors and stuff kept wanting the profits just to keep going up. And of course, what happened is life returned to normal and it went on, the numbers have gone, and it's happened to cinemas, it's gone, everything has changed. And it's definitely a big issue. Matt says, I think it was Bob Iger who said the entire Disney library will be added, but then backtracked to clarify that the stuff like Songs of the South would still be added. Again, it's a very the problem is again is a definition of what it was. And again, there's a big difference of this was I think if that's the quote I'm thinking of, it was at a press event to an audience it wasn't made publicly in an advert. It wasn't being said publicly. It was being held. It was in a presentation to press, and I think that is definitely the big problem with this is what actually goes out to mainstream. And it's so easy when a presentation of someone can so easily say, okay, so we're going to be adding the entire Disney library. The entire Disney library is such a weird way of saying it because they could literally just be talking about all the animated classics. It depends on what they're looking at and how they're looking at it. They might not have been thinking at the time of, we might think that's the entire library, but somebody else's version of an entire library was literally every lost tape and movie and stuff. So it's a very weird thing. The one and only Tinkerbell said there are a lot of Disney favorites that are not on Disney Plus. Yeah, I think there is definitely a lot of stuff on there that's not there. But again, I do question of the stuff that's not there. There must be a reason why it's not. And I also think as well, I always think this is a good barometer of when you go to the theme parks and you go around and you see the different attractions and you see the different meet and greet characters and you see the different merchandise, etc. You very much get a gist there of what characters are popular, what characters aren't, and it kind of gives you a vibe of and I think that's a good indication. You might find for some shows and some movies, you might find some pins or some cards or a little bit, and they're just a little bit off the beaten track. There are some films that get no attention at the theme parks at all, or at the Disney store, because people are not interested in those things. If you go to the Disney parks, you're not going to find merchandise for Home on the Range or maybe even Chicken Little. There's certain stuff. So therefore, there was a big releases, let alone some movie from 1962 that it's probably not them. Have you done all the? I have done all the pre-done questions. I think I have caught all of them now. I think I have done all of them. Entertainment companies are still being affected by potential tariffs and trade. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if entertainment companies are going to be impacted the same way. Because it seems very much more like goods. So I'm not, and that's if these actual tariffs actually ever happen, because they've been backtracked a few times already. I don't know if entertainment falls under the same, because there's not an actual product going across borders. So it's not like I can imagine Disney Plus in Canada being 25%, because there again, what you might find as well is Disney Plus in Canada will be run by a Canadian company. So like here in the UK, Disney Plus operates through Disney UK. So they probably would, they might get taxed. I don't know. I don't know if entertainment would, because there's not actually any physical products. What is going to impact is obviously if you've got I don't know, it's like Lorcana cards, I mean, these are printed and made in Germany, so therefore they aren't necessarily coming in from America, but in Canada they would be printed in, so that could put the price up of stuff coming in there. But then what you might end up happening is that starts becoming a problem. You might end up finding Canada starts importing the stuff from Europe because it doesn't have to pay it. So there's going to be ways around it, I think. Matt says the Hollywood strikes are also a factor. In fact, the video games industry is also dealing with the SAG-AFTRA strike, which has been going on since last July with no signs of ending. I think that is obviously impacting on new releases, but I think with the video game system as well is a lot of this stuff takes a long time to come through. But yeah, it's a very weird one. Oh, did I miss that one? Nevertheless, I'll do that one anyway. What about Tiana question? Let me see. Sometimes with questions, there's a lot of them in there. Let me just see. Let's see if I've got one. There's one. Oh, here we go. Sorry. I think what it was, I thought this was a question about another. I think I mixed this up with another question about Tiana. That was why. Sorry, Miles. Do you think the recent cancellation of the Disney Plus series Tiana is part of a broader reorganization at Disney Animation to prioritize feature films over Disney series for Disney Plus? 100%. This is a reorganization, a re-strategy to the fact that they want these movies to be, they want them focused on movies to go make them more money, which makes them more money at the parks, which makes them more money at toys, makes them more money on mobile games, merchandise, everything. A movie launching and being successful brings in all of this extra stuff. A TV series doesn't. Or it doesn't have the same. It has to be really good to. And think about how many TV series have broken through on that level. Not a lot. We don't get a lot of them nowadays. And also, again, I think they are refocused, but I 100% think that they have prioritized theatrical films. Right. Gonna call it. Well, we've gone a little bit longer. We've gone 25 minutes longer. So big thank you to everyone for joining in on the live chat. So we've got the one and only Tinkerbell, Caleb, Matt, Miles. We've also added in the Bubba Trolling, Raphael. Thank you so much for all your questions. Big thank you to Derek for your super chat. Big thank you to Sosunan, Noxwave, Bubba Trolling. I think I've got everyone. Keenan. Again, big thank you. I'll be back next week with another live Q&A. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. And I shall see you guys soon. Laters. Tally ho.